Homage to Venerable Mang Liao Ming, to Master Sakya Dzogchen, to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa, and Master Thupten Tarji. And to the main deity of the group practice today, the Yellow Jambala. Simu, all the Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples here and over the webcast, and our guest of honors today, the wife of Ambassador Liao of the Foreign Ministry of Taiwan, Dharma Sister Judy, and the accountant to the Tribhuda Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa, and from the CTI TV in Taiwan, the producer for the Illuminating Your Heart, Dharma Sister Rebecca Su and Dr. Zhuang. And also all of our guests of honors. How are you? How do you do? Thank you. Thank you. Today we practice the Yellow Jambala Dharma, the Yellow Jambala. In Tantrayana, there are many wealth deities, and mostly they are the Dharma protectors of Buddhism. And the wealth deities in Tantrayana refer to the manifestations or emanations of the four heavenly kings, or all the heavenly beings who are supporters of Buddhism and primarily bestow resources upon beings and to eradicate karma. So if you ask them, then you would have the responses. When I was seated here, I saw many wealth deities descending. So, because the wealth deity came here, so if you ask for, then you would get responses. So I hope that everyone would get rich. So that all of us would become a really wealthy person. And most importantly, by having wealth, but that's only on earth and you cannot take them with you. So other than your daily necessities to be fulfilled, you can also perform enlightened activities or charitable activities. You can give wealth, and that would be very beneficial for the human world. And that's the path of accumulation. And that's something that you need to do in your spiritual cultivation. If your resources are fulfilled, you can also benefit others. And this way, you also perform body work or enlightened activities. So you do the practice for the accumulation of wealth or resources. and from the tangible or form resources into the formless or intangible resources, so that you can gain liberation and self-mastery and to arrive at the Buddha land. This is important. And today I will continue to expand on the great completion Dharma. And today on the 9 stages. So what is this 9 stages practice? And what are these 9 stages? Let me explain it briefly. So the Dharma teaching today may be very dry if it's speaking by other Dharma teachers, may be very tiresome for him to talk about and also for the audience to listen to. So one night, it's at the deep of the night, and the child cried in his sleep. And the dad was singing a lullaby to make him sleep. And after a few verses, the neighbors said that it's better to let the kid cry. So that meant that he must have sang very badly. So this teaching is quite dry, but I still have to cover it. So the first 3 yanas, stages or yana means vehicle, and then the 3 tantric yanas, and then the 3 innermost tantric yana. So 3 yanas, secret yanas, innermost secret yanas. Altogether 9 yanas, vehicles. So the first 3 yanas are spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha. The middle 3 yanas are spoken by Vajrasattva, and the last 3 yanas were spoken by Adi Buddha, the primordial Buddha. So Sakyamuni Buddha first. So these 9 stages are the same as 9 yanas, or the 9 steps in the staircase. So you need to complete this step one by one. It's very important. Like when you're climbing the staircase, the first step, second, third, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9, and the 9th case, the 9th level is the highest one. So it's called the 9 stages or 9 steps, like in a staircase, and or 9 yanas. So in practicing Buddhism, we cannot be like a blind man. When we're going out, there is a blind beggar wearing sunglasses, and he blocked a man and a woman and asked the man, please be generous, I am a blind man. And when he was about to give money, the wife stopped him. Please don't give it to him, because it's clear that he's not a blind man. And the husband asked the blind beggar and pointed to his wife, is this woman beautiful? And the beggar took a look at the wife and said, beautiful. And then the husband told the wife, well, he is really blind. So in studying Buddhism, we shouldn't be blind. You need to see clearly all the 9 steps, the 9 stages. Some people in learning Buddhism, they are blinded. They don't study the true, the genuine Buddha Dharma. But what they study is fortune telling. That's the mundane. That's the mundane practice. Everything is Buddha Dharma, but you need to learn or study what was spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha, by Vajrasattva, by Adi Buddha, and that would be the right path. If you go on the deviant path or the side doors, and some people say side doors are still doors. If you walk through the front door, of course there's the right door, but like the side door there, that's also a door. It can also reach the center of the temple. Or the door from the shop there, it can also arrive here. Or another door next to the restrooms, you can also get here. So the side doors are also doors, but they are further away. And the closest one is the front door. And the ones further away are the side doors. So that's how I explain it. So if you enter through the front door, that would be closest. If you enter through the side doors, it takes a longer time, but it's still okay. So even fortune telling or feng shui, they are okay, but they are more the mundane practices. And Sakyamuni Buddha don't put any importance on the mundane practices. That's why he prefer Sangha, which is the ordained people. But for the lay practitioners, they have to take a roundabout way because they have to take care of the mundane affairs. A fellow disciple told me that they had to earn money and work, so they don't put much effort into practices. And people who focus on this are the ordained monks and nuns. They don't have to earn money and they don't have to work, because human life is really short. If you still have to spend your time and effort on the mundane career, then it would be less time for spiritual cultivation. That would be even harder. So that's why the Sangha is more focused on this. So that's the difference between walking on the through the front door or the side doors. So human life is short. That's why we have to treasure what should be treasured, and we should let go what should be let go. And that disciple said, although they earn lots of money, and that's pretty good, the family is fine, everything is good, but they still feel that, is this right that we live like this? They should still have a way to cultivate spiritually. So even for the lay practitioners, they could make time to cultivate spiritually. But the members of the Sangha specialize or focus on practices. So that's the path for liberation, or the path of Bodhi. So the first stage, or the first step, or yana, the first one is the Sravaka yana. Sravaka. or the solitary hearer. So they practice the Four Noble Truths for the suffering, accumulation, elimination, and the path. So they have, it's the continuation, the mind for continuation. That's the Sravaka. This is rather difficult to explain. So there's this joke. The car is married to the train and they get divorced not long after, and they ask why. The car was very sad, and he's always afraid that I would be hit, and yet I'm always afraid that he would get out of rail. That's why they couldn't stand it anymore and they get divorced. So Sravaka is the car. They could only carry very few people. They cultivate on their own deep in the mountains, and they become ordained, most of them. They regard that time in this life is short, that it is full of suffering and not much joy or happiness. So think about it. What I often mentioned before, at one, you're born with great merriment, you're taken care by your parents, there's no suffering, no joy. But when you start your study, you start the suffering. I find studying to be miserable because I always fail in my tests. That's why I stayed in the same class twice. That's why school is a misery for me. So maybe I would gain weight, but at the times for tests, then I would lose sleep, I cannot eat, and I would lose weight. And then I would try to cheat, and I would be miserable. So school is miserable, it's suffering. Why do we have to go to school? Who set the rule? So at 10, you're in study. Even in elementary schools, they started to compete to be number one. There's a classmate who always gets the first grade, and then when he gets the second grade, he kills himself. That's suffering. Like I'm always last in class. I don't suffer because that's how I am. But those who compete, they would suffer. So schooling is suffering. You know, when for Ching was in the doctorate school, that was suffering, and she was studying, and sometimes she threw the books because she was really miserable, and then she climbed back and took the book back and continued to study. So after you graduate from schools, you work, and that's also suffering. You think working is a happy thing? Sometimes your boss would place you at a place where you don't earn much, and still you have to work very hard. So everyone who works, do you suffer? So earning a living is a suffering. That's really hard. It's hard to make money. That's also suffering. So family, is it suffering? Family is like a bondage, that you are held in bondage with a certificate, and you have to see each other's face every day. So is family suffering? Yes, because that's why there are lots of divorces. The true love is very rare. Most are suffering. There's some who don't talk to each other for half a year. So isn't that suffering? That's truly suffering. So is there a family that don't suffer? That doesn't suffer? Like before marriage? In romantic love? Is that suffering? That's a true bitterness. Like Dharma Sister Erika said, when you find your love, that's your karmic debtor. And when your karmic debtor is here, then you would love and love and love. It's like the train is kissing the car. The train is always worried that the car would be hit. And the car is always worried that the train would get out of the rails. So like having an affair, derail. So would it happen? In the society today, it doesn't matter whether they're married or not. Whether you have boyfriend or girlfriend, if you want someone, you don't care for any of those. And it happens for both man and woman. They still go for it. So now they have the 3-way affairs, 4-way, 5-way, 6, 7-way affair, and don't know which one is the true one. So is there the suffering? That's true, bitter suffering. So a family, it's like this bondage. And the certificate is something that you cannot find the expiration date. That's all suffering. And what's more is the disasters, natural disasters, due to the earth, water, fire, wind, sometimes earthquakes, fire, the windstorm, or hurricane, tornadoes, and floods. And then with the disasters, all of a sudden, everything's gone. Isn't that suffering? That's suffering. And then between people, interpersonal relationship, that's the hardest. Not making a baby, but between people, that's really difficult. Sometimes you're on good terms. Today you're on good terms, and tomorrow you're on bad terms. And today you're on a good mood, and tomorrow on a bad mood. And then the day after, good mood, and then bad mood. And it's like the weather. Yesterday was cold, and today it's hot, and tomorrow is even hotter, I heard. So isn't that terrible? It's too hot, it's too cold. In Seattle, when it's hot, it's so hot, and when it's cold, it's so cold. How could it be so hot in Seattle? Because of you immigrants, you visitors who bring the heat here. Seattle, it was cool in Seattle before. Before, I never sweat for 3 years, but recently, I sweat. That's the change of the weather. You think that human hearts don't change? Human hearts change. Today, they say they love you. Aisiteru. And the next day, no, let's split up. They change so fast. So they change their mind like turning a page of a book. It's not that it changes every day. Sometimes at night during dinner it's still fine. And then at bedtime it changes. So isn't that suffering? That's suffering. So what should we do? It's best to cultivate spiritually. Practice the Sravakayana. Go deep into the mountains. First, because of the suffering, you leave behind the world and you practice on your own. You let go of all the sufferings of the world. And when you collect all the sufferings and also the suffering of the sicknesses, the sickness are the most suffering. When you stay in the hospitals, the ghosts, the demons would take knives and cut your neck and your abdomen. And in America, they like to perform surgeries on you. So in wherever places that you have problems, and they cut you anywhere. And they cut you here and they cut you there. So if you have toothache, that's also full of suffering. The dentist would know. So that's really painful. Of course, the dentists don't suffer. So they're the one that pull the tooth. Before, when I tried to pull the teeth, I would tie it with a rope, and then the other end of the rope tied to the door and kick the door, and that's how you pull the teeth out. So is that suffering? Yes, suffering. So when you get to the hospital, your life is in their hands. So that's the sufferings of hospital. So even a cold that would let you suffer terribly, or just a headache even, that would let you be so comfortable, so suffering. So backache or shoulder ache or problems with the eyes or ears. And the doctors asked me for the colonoscopy, and never. I'm 70 already, and never have any colonoscopy or any. I don't want to talk about it, because if I talk about it, it may happen. I'm 70 years old, and the doctor asked me to have a colonoscopy or have my eyes checked. Why? I do the practice of the Golden Mother, the 8th grade practice of Golden Mother. I can turn my eyes and I can see the little characters, the small characters, and I don't need glasses when I drive. I never have a need for glasses. But do you know, some people, they have 2 pairs of glasses, or 3 or 4 pairs glasses, some for the astigmatism, short-sightedness, for far-sightedness, and some people have laser for their short-sightedness. And some people said that after a few years it would reoccur. Lian-Chu, what happened to your eyes? Oh, still fine. Oh, then you're lucky. He got his eyes lasered. I never had any of those done. So, good thing that I'm still fine. Some people have lots of sicknesses, and that's lots of suffering. So aging is also suffering. And look at the elderly home. So when they walk, the best way is the helping the force leg sticks. And then worse would be on a wheelchair, and then worse, they would need someone to take care. But if I have a beautiful lady taking care of me, bathe me and touch me, that would be happy too. But don't you think that even having a beautiful lady being touched and bathed is still okay if you can still drive? Otherwise, what use is that? That's rather deep here. So human life is full of suffering, even birth, sicknesses, aging, and death. The moment just before death, doesn't matter how dignified you were or what status you have, whether you're a king, or president, or the chief, you all have to age and die. So when you get old and sick, then you would know that suffering. So how long would you stay young is when you were 20, from 20 to 40. So only 20 years. So when you cut the time for sleep, then you only have 10 years left. So is that something to be happy about? So it's better to cultivate spiritually. So Sravakayana. So you just go into the mountain and cultivate spiritually. They do the practice of liberation. They regard themselves as nothing, as empty. And what's left is just the mind, the continuum mind. And they practice the suffering, the accumulation of suffering, the cessation, to eliminate all the sufferings, to become no self, and then they gain liberation. That's the path of the solitary hearer or Sravakayana. The second stage or second yana is the Prateka Buddhayana. So that's all causes and conditions. In Buddhism, we talk about cause and condition. So there are 12, the interdependent arising. So from this become that, from that become that, and become that. And so that's the 12 dependent arising. I don't need to memorize it for you, and I don't quite remember them, but you can check them on your own. So the 12 links of dependent arising. And you can check the books, you can check your computer, your cell phones, your iPad, and if you put in the 12 links of dependent arising, they all come out. There's no need for me to say it. So this become this become that, and that, and that, and that. And then at the end, it would all become empty. So the Prateka Buddhayana is based on the 12 links of dependent arising, to be mindful and to know that there is no self. And the Prateka Buddhas still comprehend that there is no self and nothing. So Dharma or nothings, so everything is empty. The cars, the houses, The good friends, the wives, the lovers, they're all empty. How could they be not empty? Because one day they would all become empty. Based on the cause and condition, they all would become empty. There isn't anything that truly belongs to you, even your wives and children and your loved ones, your most loved ones, don't belong to you. Even the most expensive cars, your houses, nothing belong to you. They all would be deteriorated one day, including yourself. So that's why no self and no things. So this in Chinese is no Dharma. It's not Buddha Dharma, but nothings, no things. That everything is empty intrinsically, including yourself. So based on this, they go deep into the mountain. Based on the 12 dependence arisings, they gain liberation. So this is the second yana, the second stage. The first is Sravakayana, second is Prateka Buddhayana. So in spiritual cultivation, we should be mindful about the Four Noble Truths and the 12 links of dependent arisings. And then the third yana is the Bodhisattva yana. Bodhisattva yana is only for the sake of others. So they use the 6 perfections or 6 paramitas. And the 6 perfections, like you have to be generous, giving. You need to have ethical disciplines, diligence, patience, wisdom, concentrations, contemplation. So you use these methods to teach sentient beings. So Bodhisattva focuses for the sake of others to cultivate spiritually. And for Bodhisattva, it's that self is empty and Dharma is empty. When you reach the Bodhisattva realm, even the continuum mind doesn't exist anymore. The mind is almost gone. Not like Grandmaster. Grandmaster has no more heart because the heart has been stolen by someone. So I have no heart. My heart was stolen by someone, so I have no heart. That's Bodhisattva yana. Bodhisattva yana. So you think spiritual cultivation is easy? Even these 3 yanas are very difficult, not easy. And you need to cultivate spiritually for a long period of time. This was spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha. There was the owner of a farm that was running really fast. And then there were lots of visitors. There was one of his chicken ran really fast. And there was a rich man that saw this chicken and wanted to pay a high price for the chicken. And he said that I would pay 100,000 for this chicken. And the farmer shook his head. And the rich man said, too little? How about 200,000? 500,000? $1 million for your one chicken? And the farmer didn't say anything, just shook his head. And the rich man couldn't stand it anymore. I'm willing to give you so much money. Why didn't you want to sell this chicken to me? And then the farmer replied, because I couldn't catch the chicken. So the Sravakayana, Prateka Buddhayana, and Bodhisattvayana that was spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha was very simple. It's like when you follow the path of the Four Noble Truths, you would gain liberation. And if you observe on the 12 links of the dependent arising and at the end they're all empty, then you would gain liberation. And be a bodhisattva. You have no heart. You yourself have no heart anymore. You just help others. And you use the practice by the ways of the 6 perfections. That's the path of accumulation. You accumulate the merits and the resources that you can go to the better realm to become a bodhisattva. You have no self whatsoever. Actually, for Sravakas, they also have no self. For Prateka Buddhas, they also have no self and nothings. And Bodhisattvas also have no self and no things. And at the same time, they also benefit others. For Sravakas and Prateka Buddhas, they don't focus much on others. They just gain liberation for themselves. So they just go deep into the mountains. And Bodhisattvas are among the mundane world and use all kinds of ways to help others, monetarily or with teachings, and they continually do this to accumulate resources. That's the path of the Bodhisattva. But still, these things are not easy. Just like that chicken, it runs really fast. It's difficult to even buy it because you cannot catch the chicken. So spiritual cultivation is not easy. Even just these 3 stages, Sravakayana, Prateka Buddhayana, and Bodhisattvayana, are hard enough for you to do. It's hard for you to chase and catch it. Some people are so small-minded and very stingy. So what use for you to accumulate money? Of course, there's some use that you would have money when you're old. But you cannot spend it all. So then you would leave it for your children and grandchildren. They would spend your money. So, like in our stage now, we're spending actually our children's money because our money is also their money. But our money is also people's money. We don't know where this money would go in the future. So you save and you accumulate so much money, and then at the end, your children and grandchildren spend them all. My grandfather saved so much money, and his 6 wives spent them all. When he died, each one of his wives moved like a treasure trunk, like a huge trunk like of the pirates, and each one of them carry that huge trunk of precious items. So my dad became very poor because the wealth was taken away by all the wives. My grandma was the 3rd wife. When my granddad passed away, she moved that trunk to her boyfriend's home. So the granddad didn't spend his own money, and his wives took them away and give it to her boyfriend. And he came to my father. So my granddad thought that he owned all that. So those trunks of golds and silvers and precious jewels were spent by all his wives, and they all married a different man. And my dad didn't earn much. So the 1-carat diamond ring that I got, I bought with my own salary. It's less than 1 carat. 0.2 carat. Was it that small? I really didn't have money when I was married, when I got married. I saved 40,000 NT dollars before I got married. And after marriage, the money is gone. And we were planning for a honeymoon. And then we took a train, just a very common train from Taichung to Kaohsiung. And then from Kaohsiung back to Tainan. And then we said that, okay, nowhere to go, let's go back to Taichung. That's our honeymoon. And we just took the standard seats on the train. And the train moved slowly to Kaohsiung. That was so beautiful. So what truly belongs to you? Nothing. A lot of people think that their husbands or their wives belong to them. Actually, no. You think your lover is yours? No. It's just something for you to enjoy for a short time. It is very difficult to seek something, and spiritual cultivation is even more difficult. To go deep into the mountains to cultivate, that's still not so big deal. So this 3 yanas spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha is like that chicken that ran very fast. It is really difficult to catch it. It is very difficult to gain, to attain it. And you don't attain it because you cannot empty yourself. And you cannot empty your loved ones, your house, your cars, your nothing, everything. So what spiritual cultivation are you talking about? You cannot even catch the chicken. So Sravaka, Pratyeka Buddha, Bodhisattva. So now I have completed these 3 yanas. So it's okay just to listen to it because you cannot catch it. Of course, there's some who caught it. If you cultivate very seriously and you make yourself empty and you let go, put down everything, then you have that attainment. So, but if you cannot make yourself empty and you cannot make everything else empty, then you cannot liberate yourself. Now let me continue to talk on the secret three yanas. So in the secret Buddhism or Tantrayana, the four secret Dharma. So at first, there are four secrets. One is the deity is deity, Yidam is Yidam, and you, as a human being, pay homage to him. So this is called, the Kriya Yoga. This is the Kriya Tantra. So Kriya Tantra is you are worshipping the deity. There are all the different methods of worshipping all the deities. Say if you want to invoke Mahachundi, you pray the invocation, you recite the mantras, and you pray for 7 days and 7 nights, and you make the offerings, all kinds of offerings, and the sutras, the Yidam Sutra, and finally the Yidam descends, and the Yidam empowers you, blesses you, and you abide by the Yidam's precepts, and you practice the worship of the Yidams. This is called the Kriya Tantra. So this is the first one. So the Yidam is the master and you are the slave. And every day you have to make offerings to the Yidam, to pay homage to the Yidam. You have to repent to the Yidam. If you make a mistake or you breach the precepts, you have to repent to the Yidam. That's the methods at first. So the Yidam is the master and you are the slave. And all these tantric practices are called the Kriya Tantra. So this is to purify your physical body. And the body abide by the precepts, the speech and the mind also abide by the precepts. And this is most important in this stage. When you pray to the Yidam, you have to follow the procedure, the sadhana, in order to receive the blessings of the Yidam. And then the second, so this is the fifth yana, it's the Charya Tantra or the Upa Yoga. So what that means is that the Yidam and yourself are reflecting upon each other. So this is what we practice now. So the Yidam appears on the ocean, on the lotus blossom, on the moon disk, the syllable rotating to become Yidam. You don't need to recite the sutras for a very long time. You can only do it with visualization, with mantra and forming the mudras. And the Yidam would appear and would empower you and purify your body, speech and mind. So this is the reflective body. So Yidam is Yidam and you are you, but the Yidam will appear very fast. So of course, we still have to make offerings, pay homage, and pray for their blessings so that our body, speech, and mind are purified. This is called the Charya Tantra. And the Kriya Tantra, the fourth level, was that the Yidam is the master, you're the slave. But in Charya Tantra, the fifth level, that the Yidam is your friend. So between you and the Yidam are friends. So I invite you to come to my house. I serve you tea. I ask for your teachings and provide guidance. So that's the Charya Tantra. So the Yidam can sit next, right in front of you, and also to purify your body, speech, and mind. And then the sixth level is the Yoga Tantra. This is just the brief points. I will cover the key points. So the first secret yana is the yidam is your master, and then the second secret yana, the yidam is your friend, and the third secret yana is called the yoga tantra, is the yidam is you. Then this is yogic response or spiritual response. So that's why it's called yoga tantra. You're very close to the yidam. The yidam merged with your body, and the words you say are the words of the yidam. The sounds you hear are the sounds of the yidam, heard by the yidam. So this is the third secret yana. So the Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, and Yoga Tantra, spoken by Vajrasattva or Vajrapani. So Vajrasattva or Vajrapani. So now very clear, right? And the highest, now we haven't talked about Mahayoga, Arti Yoga, and Anu Yoga. And the Great Completion Dharma focuses on Arti Yoga. We haven't even covered this. We only covered the three secret yanas. One, the yidam is the master and you're the slave. That's the Kriya Tantra. And the yidam is your friend. And this is the Charya Tantra. That's the second secret yana. And then the third secret yana. So Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, and Yoga Tantra. That's yogic response. So the yidam is you and you are the yidam. The yidam is I and I am the yidam. So one time I was coughing really badly and it couldn't be cured in Taiwan. But very interesting, when I give Dharma teaching, it stopped. But as soon as I stopped giving Dharma teaching, I started to cough really badly. A lot of people knew. But as soon as I am seated on the Dharma seat, I didn't cough. And when it was itching in my throat, I could hold it. But actually, that's really hard. That you could just stop your coughing like that, that you would be a doctor. You would still cough if you cough. Because I have the spiritual response or yogic response, right? Because the yidam is I, and I'm the yidam. So every time before I give blessings on the heads, I would join my palms, and the yidam would descend into my body, and my hands would be the hands of the Golden Mother when I give blessings on the heads. That's the yidam that's blessing you. So that's Yoga Tantra. If you can have your yidam enter into your body and merge with you, that's Yoga Tantra. So when I coughed badly and couldn't be cured by any doctors, what should I do? And one day I thought about the Yoga Tantra and I told Golden Mother, Golden Mother, I'm you and you are I. So do you like to cough? Because I'm coughing. So you are coughing too. So do you like to cough? If you don't like to cough, you have to cure this cough. And on the next day, it was really cured. So you just speak like that to the yidam. And one time in Taiwan, I had skin hives and rashes. It was really bad. And I also told Golden Mother, I have seen a lot of doctors and already used all kinds of ointment and take all kinds of medicine. So I'm you and you are I. So you have to help me. So now I took a cup of your water, and this is medicine. and tomorrow it'll be cured. And sure enough, it was cured. And Simu checked the computer. Oh, this is some kind of dermatologist problem that this could never be cured. You would have this problem all your life. That's why I was tinged into asking Golden Mother. And sure enough, the next day it was cured. She knew this, and sure enough, the second day it was all cured. And Simu too, it was all cured. It's like a psoriasis, and even after taking all kinds of medicines or ointments, could never cure such a problem. But a cup of water by Golden Mother cured it. The Zen master, Tao San, had two disciples, and one time they were on a picnic and under the trees and were talking. There was a flourishing tree and the other tree was wilting. And the Zen master asked one disciple, Tao Wu, is the flourishing tree better or the wilting tree better? And Tao Wu replied, the flourishing tree is better. And asked the other disciple, Yin, and he said, the wilting tree is better. And then there was a young monk passing by and asked him, which one is better? And the Sami said, let the flourishing tree flourish and let the wilting tree wilt. So this is the highest realm, is unmoved. Your mind is unmoved. If your mind is moved, then you would be dead. Is it better to be poor or rich? Everyone would say, of course, rich. And how about the poor people? They also say rich is better. But the true spiritual cultivators, a true yogi, they would say, it is fine to be rich and it is fine to be poor. Whether you have lots of money or little money, they're fine. Or no money, it's also fine. Then you would be a true spiritual cultivator, or true sadhaka, true yogi. Like when you're registering yourself for blessings or for Bardo deliverance, for blessings or for planet ruler protection, Grandmaster always say it's voluntary. So you can, whether it's lots of offering or little offering or no offering, they're all fine. You're unmoved by it. That's immutable. You're not affected. Your mind, your heart is unaffected. But on earth, everyone's mind or heart is affected. If someone scolds you, it would be on their mind for 3 days. Should they respond? Or if someone glares at you, beautiful ladies walking by, and a man tap on her shoulder because they're fellow disciples, fellow practitioners. And the beautiful lady said she couldn't sleep at night because she felt she's being disadvantaged. So her heart or mind is being affected. Or if someone said really bad words, they couldn't stand it. They would lose sleep. Why do you lose sleep? Because your heart is affected. Or if you don't have enough sleep hormone, that's biological. Because when you sleep, you close your eyes and it's dark and the sleep hormone would be excreted and then you would enter into sleep. But if you lack the sleep hormone, then you would lose sleep. When you age, that's biological. But psychologically, it's because you have something on your mind, then you would lose sleep. But if nothing's on your mind and nothing bothers you, you would fall into sleep really fast and you don't even know when. You would sleep as soon as you get on bed and you don't even know how you enter into sleep, that you would be asleep. But if you cannot fall asleep, then you would turn over and over because they have something on your mind. And biologically, also when you lack sleep hormone, then you would lose sleep. Our doctor for sleep disorders is not here. Otherwise, he would also not. One is psychological and one is biological. If you are really unaffected, immutable, no self, self is empty, things are empty, no things. So the first three yanas. And then the next three yanas, Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, and Yoga Tantra. And Grandmaster also already expounded very clearly, although very brief, but it's to the points and very clear. And in the future, would cover Maha Yoga, Ati Yoga, Anu Yoga, and Ati Yoga. Om Mani Padme Hum.